Because I was with me are Republican roundtable, so to speak, and these are all the old white guys. Well, no, I'm just talking for me and Boyd Marcus. I don't want to offend Aaron Gobranson and Andrew Vehorn, young white guys. And of course, I was
like
at
Elizabeth Warren. I may be 137th Cherokee.
You might be. Well, you got to have the high cheekbones going. But last night I was at one of the Democratic reception, and our good friend, the chairman of the Democratic Party of Virginia, Susan Schweiker. By the way, lovely woman, just a very nice. Can I call her a lady, or am I going to get in trouble?
Call her Madam Schwecker.
Madam Schweiker, very nice woman, very just salt of the earth. I mean, just
she is
one of those people that you just love to talk to because they're just honest.
You know, that's interesting, John. Did you see the chairman of the
I love her to death.
Did you see the chairman of the Republican Party at any of the receptions last night?
Who's that?
What's his name?
I vaguely remember tangling with him, but
they're down here. The
Republican Party of Virginia, is that an oxymoron?
It may be. I'm not sure if Pearlie's has acquired the building yet or not.
No, I didn't see Chairman Whitback at any event last night.
Fantastic job of playing on the same team. They all work together. Their caucuses work together. The House and the Senate works together. They all work with the state party. They're a unified team.
Susan Schweiker has put together a machine here that is really something to be reckoned with. And they were talking to me about that last night. But anyway, she invited me to do my show after the inauguration's over from Democratic Party of Virginia headquarters in Richmond. And somebody would have to let me in at 5 a.m. But they said they only serve gourmet coffee, no Krispy Kreme. So I'm still deciding on that. But anyway, they said there was going to be no old white guys except me. It was going to be all young, vibrant, Democratic women and Susan Schweiker.
No. Susan is an excellent chairman.
She is fabulous.
She is really you said it when you said she's a class act.
That's act.
Really true.
That was really classy with what she did, what she and I'm forgetting the other guy's name with the GoFundMe account.
Brian Zuzanek.
Yeah.
That was very classy.
See, that's the other advantage they have is Zuzanek. If you don't know this guy, he's kind of hides in the weeds. He's behind the scenes. He doesn't like to get out and do media and things like that. But Zuzanek is a top Democratic operative that McAuliffe brought in. Yeah. Hey, by the way, Terry McAuliffe, you still owe me that dinner because Trump won. So I see him last night. He's trying to weasel out of it. He says, well, we kicked your butt in Virginia, and you told me Trump was going to win Virginia. I said he won by 5. Therefore, you won the one bet, I won one bet, and we're even. I'm like, no, my guy's president, and in 6 months, you ought to have a job. So now I want the dinner. I mean, aren't I right?
Well, but you're going to still be employed in 6 months, so you're going to have to buy him dinner because he might need it.
Well, I know, but I want to go to the governor's mansion because the other thing he did was on my show, and he promised if Trump won, he would have Ann and I to the dinners. So now I don't only have to deal with Ann, with Emily Brewer. Now I got to deal with her every day, asking when are we going to the governor's mansion with Dorothy for dinner. So I got a lot going on to try to get this straightened out. Let's go to the Democratic race for governor.
Yes.
Boyd Marcus, out of the blue, Tom Perriello jumps in. Best kept secret in Virginia. He kept it from all the media, all the bloggers. Right? Look,
yeah.
Aaron, you can't go to the bathroom 3 times in this state in politics without somebody leaking it.
Or leaking.
Or leaking. Look, Tom Perriello, he's going to fire up his base. Look, if you're Ralph Northam, you got to be sitting there saying, how did this happen to me? Does he have a chance? Can he win?
I think he has a chance. I think what I've seen in the last week, and it moved very quickly once Perriello called the governor and started telling people he was going to do it, the Democratic Party folks went into overdrive, calling all of Northam's donors, calling all of the party leadership people, pushing them really hard to stay with Northam and to put a big X by over Perriello. And I think that from everything I can see and hear, I think they've kept, Northam has kept his support very firm, and the governor is really, really pushing
He's
hard.
all in.
He's all in. And I think that's true for the Democratic Party structure, which was all behind Northam at that point in time. So I think that's going very well for him. But I think on the other hand, the reality is Perriello is a true wild card, and his approach and the fact that he is on most issues going to be perceived as the more liberal of the two candidates,
except guns.
Except guns. And that's going to be a problem for him
in Northern Virginia.
That's going to be a problem for him in Virginia, because that in a Democratic primary, having won the NRA endorsement is not going to help you in a Democratic primary.
He had a 100% rating, didn't he?
Well, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
That's not a problem you can do away with.
No.
You think back to the state Senate elections. The Senate Democrats never thought they were going to win the Colgan seat. They thought Hal Parrish was going to walk away with it. He was up in polling. And it wasn't until Mike Bloomberg and the Every Town for Gun Safety put about $2 million in the race and ran those TV ads the last week that it just completely turned everything upside down, and Jeremy McPike is here. That can happen again with Ralph Northam.
You're right.
You're not going to see it coming. You won't know it's coming, and when it comes, there's nothing you can do about it.
Wow, that's an interesting insight. Aaron, what do you think? Tom Perriello, no question, the way he pulled this off, I thought was brilliantly done. My only concern with Northam, and get your comments here, is that they weren't expecting this. They're not battle tested, and they're basically in a dogfight now, right?
Well, let's put this into perspective too, though. You've got the sitting lieutenant governor who's got most of the Democratic machine behind him against a failed one-term congressman who hadn't been in office in 6 or 7 years, who served the 5th District. People like to say that congressmen are great statewide candidates, and they're not, because they're not known outside their district. Perriello makes a splash mainly because all the Republicans are going, oh my gosh, we might have a chance at the governor's race, because now the Democrats are fighting with each other. But the truth of the matter is Perriello is going to lose to Northam 60-40. They're going to do two things this whole campaign. They're going to whack Ed, because they're assuming Ed is the front runner. They're going to whack him, call him Enron Eds, all this other stuff. And then Perriello is going to spend his whole time attacking Ralph Northam on being too conservative for the Democrat Party. And when he wins the nomination, he has just told the Commonwealth of Virginia that Ralph Northam is the kind of Republican you guys elect, the kind of Democrat you guys elect.
Wow, that's interesting. So you're saying that Northam wins, and you're saying the okay, so define this. I am thinking that the Perriello campaign moves Ralph Northam left. You're saying opposite, right? That actually he's going to try to define him as the liberal.
He can only move so far left.
And then they'll tackle Lesby, and you think the whole thing sets Ralph Northam up to win in November, Aaron. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's interesting insight.
Boyd, I think it's I think maybe a bit more complicated thing, because I do think that what happens in this race is that Northam was going to present himself as a very moderate liberal Democrat, but because he has the basic positions, on most issues that the Democratic Party has, but they're kind of low-key ones. Now he will have to be much more out front on those, because Perriello is. I mean, this is a Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders kind of race, and if Perriello is able to tap into that national liberal, the very what they call very progressive, groups out there, where who may be seeing Northam as too conservative, too moderate, then he's going to be pushing Northam to go over to the left. Now, what may prevent that from happening as much is the fact that that McAuliffe and a lot of the Clinton Democratic structure is going to be behind Northam. I mean, what this may turn out to be is Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton but it's just two different names now on the
Yeah,
ballot
the rough
box.
Northam is no Hillary Clinton.
No.
I mean, that would be an easy way to look at this and say, well, Sanders got 38%, case closed, gets back to your 60-40, Aaron.
Yeah.
But that was Hillary Clinton. That was Terry McAuliffe.
Yeah.
The home machine behind him. And, Ralph, I think he's a fine candidate for the general, but he's no Hillary Clinton.
No.
And, here's the chance that Perriello has is you got to ask yourself, is the Democratic base restless? That, to me, is the core question.
Yeah.
Republicans were restless. That's why I knew that Trump was going to be the nominee and win. And they're still restless, which is why Riggleman has a shot in this race. You got to ask yourself, are the Democrats restless? The people that we saw at Jennifer McClendon's victory party last night, Delegate McClendon getting elected state senator last night, District 9, Don McEachin's old seat. We went to her victory party, Andrew, 10 o'clock, 9, something,
Right.
9-ish,
Yeah.
right? She got 91%. Of all the events we went to last night, that was very young, very energetic. It was downtown Richmond. It was the future of the Democratic Party was right there, capsulized, right?
Absolutely.
I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. That's why we get out to this stuff, Aaron.
Right.
I saw it. I didn't see it at the Hilton with the Democratic caucus. I didn't see it at the Jefferson with the Bill Howe thing, but we saw it there. That was it. That's the future of the Democratic Party right there. Question is, who are they going to back in this race?
Well, and
Right? Am I right?
you are. And I don't want to take issue with Aaron's assessment of congressional candidates with Tom Perriello in particular, only because I think he is much better known outside of his district because of the way he conducted himself when he was in it. He knocked off Virgil Gouge, which was a big target for the Democrats for a long time. And then he came in and he represented a very rural, very conservative district, but he was Obama's leading cheerleader and said, consequences be damned, I'm going to go to Washington and be the most progressive liberal member of Congress I can be and help this president, knowing it was going to cost him his seat. I think he knew he would only hold that seat for one term, so he didn't care. He went and voted the way that he personally wanted to, and he got a lot of attention for that. He got a lot of attention for that out of the Democratic Party. He was probably their favorite congressman when he was in there. And so I think folks do have a greater awareness of him and probably a higher name ID than, say Bobby Scott or a Democratic congressman. Jerry Connolly, his name ID down in Hampton Roads wouldn't be so great.
Right.
But I think on that point is within the activist ranks of the Democratic Party, yes, he has a higher name ID. With the general public, we saw I don't put a lot of into that last Quinnipiac poll, but okay, it showed you what you would kind of expected. Northam's been around for a while, and most people still don't know who he is, but more of them are going to know who he is than Perriello. Frankly, it won't be by a lot, but nobody knows much about most of these candidates, and that's kind of where it is. I do think that maybe I think rather than this being the choice between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, this may be more of a Obama wing of the Democratic Party and the Hillary Clinton wing of the Democratic Party in Virginia having a little knife fight over who gets to, be running things.
I think you're right on. I think you're spot on.
Now,
Boyd.
and I will say there were, to my knowledge, there was at least one former Northam operative who was no longer been with their campaign for a while, who was involved in the Perriello operation.
Who's that? You can't say.
I can't say.
The other interesting thing.
What's Mudcat going to do?
That's an interesting question.
Let's ask him.
And I think that's a good question to ask because he may agree with Perriello on guns.
Tell our audience, Boyd, who was Mudcat.
Well, Mudcat is the famous Democratic consultant out of Roanoke who coined and made Mark Warner a legend in the rural parts of Virginia with his
got him on a NASCAR and got him a bluegrass song.
Yeah, got himself a bluegrass song.
Mudcat Sanders. He also ran Jim Webb's campaign, not to be confused with the old Minnesota Twins pitcher Mudcat Grant. right?
Well,
only Boyd and I would remember that.
That's right. But he also was the consultant
The
for.
60s.
He's also the consultant for Cooter in his campaigns against Eric Cantor.
That's right.
With the with running the rebel, the old General Lee.
And we tried. I talked to him several times in the fall because Mr. Trump wanted to get Jim Webb's in. We thought he could get Jim Webb on his endorsement team. And so we talked to Sanders. I personally talked to him probably 3 times trying to get that worked out. Just couldn't ever really get that done in time. But it's going to be interesting to see where he goes, Mudcat Sanders. Okay, we got 3 minutes here. Let's just go ahead, Andrew.
Well, I was going to say, Tom Perriello got elected in 2008.
2008, Obama went.
Ralph Northam got elected to the state senate in 2007. So they overlap a little bit. I want to see if Perriello tries to compare and contrast the records in terms of when he was in Washington pushing Obama's agenda. Ralph Northam was in the state senate, and obviously he's always been an elected Democrat. But how they try to compare and contrast the records, because they're going to be vastly different.
Well, what he could say is that Ralph Northam, he could steal Andrew Vehorn's line, which was the first Democrat Ralph Northam ever voted for was Ralph Northam.
Yep.
And my line, which is Ralph Northam was one tweet away from being a Republican. So we both have a
But
one-liner
for Jeff
in this.
Fredericks.
That's not John Fredericks, Jeff Frederick. So he was one tweet away. The people that know that story, Northam was going to flip over to the Republicans. It was all set. It was worked out. He was going to get committee assignments. It was going to flip the Senate to Republican. And the chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia at the time, Jeff Frederick, right?
Yeah.
Who was also I don't know if he was chairman at that time. He was a member
No,
of the House of
chairman.
Delegates.
Yeah, I think he was chairman at that
House
time. Yeah, he
member,
was chairman.
House member and chairman sent out a tweet, jumped the gun, got excited, didn't understand this was sensitive negotiation, sent a tweet out. Ralph got mad, said he was out.
No, he didn't name him at the time.
He didn't name him, but
Dick
everybody knew
Saslow
it
put
was.
the Democratic caucus on lockdown, had everybody in headlocks until someone confessed.
Yeah, it was all a mess. But had he not sent that tweet out, that might have happened. All right, we got a minute. Perriello, Ralph Northam. Who wins? How close? Let's start with Andrew Vehorn.
I think Northam still wins 51-49.
Marcus?
I'm betting Northam by more than that. I'm betting closer 55-45.
I'm saying Northam 60-40. The Democrats need to win this election for redistricting purposes, and they're going to put all their stops to get Northam the nomination, and he's the strongest candidate against the Republicans.
That might overlook a lot if they say, look, we like Tom Perriello better, but Ralph is the better general election candidate, and we have to win this.
And this is also from the governor's standpoint. The governor this is part of his legacy. He has to elect a Democrat if he wants to have any positive feelings left in Virginia.
Well, right
about
now,
himself.
I agree with Andrew. I think this is a dogfight. I think it's 52-48. Ralph is a slight favorite, but you don't know how restless the Democratic base is.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
And if they are, Perriello is going to give Ralph a very difficult time, and he could pull the upset if it goes kind of the old way. But remember, Northam beat Chopra, like we were saying. Northam is no Hillary Clinton. Tom Perriello is no Anish Chopra. He's much better
Northam
candidate.
also has the VMI Mafia on his side.
You know what? Look, I do VMI football, and I tell you, the VMI alumni, and I do their football games, it's real, and it's big, and that gives him an edge. There's no question, and there's a lot of them in this state.
The reality is Ralph Northam personally is probably one of the finest men to ever offer himself for public service in Virginia. And if the Democrats are smart, they're going to put him at the top of the ticket.
All right, we're out of time for this segment. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, Trucking the Truth live from the opening of the 2017 General Assembly in Richmond. And we're in Bill D. Steff's office on the third floor. Anybody want to come up and say hi? Don't forget to text me. Got to read this text here from Ron Hedlund real fast. I got to get to it because I'm almost out of time. But he says, if Riggleman was a serious candidate, he would hire Aaron Gulbranson. Ron Hedlund. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network. We will be right